What if I told you that one of the most underrated comedies of the 2000s features what might be the sexiest performance ever captured on film? A future A-list villain in one of his earliest roles, and a legal threat that's so batshit insane it's a crime in itself.
You suck, you jackass!
Howdy, and thanks for clicking on this video to see what this jackass has to say. I appreciate you. If you're new here, my name's Chris, and if you like films that matter before the algorithm learned to write scripts, well, I think you're in the right place.
I don't know about this guy, man.
So if, like me, you were a teenager in the early aughts, you already know what movie I'm talking about. 2004's The Girl Next Door. And you know, for a movie that got trashed by critics and pretty much tanked at the box office, I think it's pretty amazing how this film has stuck around becoming this massive cult classic that people only really whisper about. But why? Why does this movie still hit so hard 20 years later? Well, you clicked on this video for a reason, so let's try to figure that out. Today, I want to dive deep into why this movie is so much more than just a risky business clone. I'll unpack some wild behind-the-scenes stories, like the fact that Emile Hirsch was a minor during filming and how a certain political figure makes a surprise cameo. I'll also break down why Roger Ebert was dead wrong about this movie. I think my thesis is pretty simple. The Girl Next Door isn't just a raunchy teen flick. It's a surprisingly heartfelt coming-of-age story that perfectly nails that awkward, terrifying, and thrilling moment right before your life's supposed to really begin. And as someone who graduated high school in 2003, let me tell you, rewatching this felt like stepping back into a time machine, back to a simpler, better time. So without further ado, let's get into it. Before I get into why I think this movie's so great, let's quickly walk through what the movie's about. We first meet Matthew Kidman, an ambitious high school senior who's accepted to Georgetown University but doesn't have the money to go. He's a straight-A student, class president, and all-around good guy who feels like he's never really lived. His life's all about playing it safe until the literal girl next door, Danielle, moves in. And from the moment Matthew sees her, he's completely smitten. After a few playful, flirty encounters, they start a romance that feels like a teenage dream come true. Everything comes crashing down when Matthew's friend Eli reveals a shocking secret. Danielle's a former adult film actress. And naturally, this sends young Matthew into a tailspin. He takes some terrible advice from his friends, treats Danielle horribly, and she ends things, planning to return to her old life. And realizing he's made a huge mistake, Matthew follows Danielle to an adult film convention in Las Vegas. There, he confronts her sleazy ex-producer Kelly and convinces Danielle to leave the industry for good. But like any good, smarmy douchebag villain, Kelly isn't done. He retaliates by stealing the $25,000 Matthew raised for a scholarship fund. And to get the money back, Danielle comes up with a wild plan. They'll produce their own educational adult film with her former colleagues and Matthew's classmates. This all leads to a series of chaotic and hilarious events that change everyone's lives forever. Now let's start with the numbers because they honestly tell a pretty brutal story. The Girl Next Door cost around $25 million to make and only pulled in $14.6 million domestic. That's a massive flop by any Hollywood standard. And as I understand it, Fox had really high hopes after strong test screenings, but they completely botched the marketing campaign. And not shockingly, critics weren't much kinder. Roger Ebert absolutely destroyed it, putting it as one of his worst films of 2004 list, saying a good movie could presumably be made from this premise. A good movie can be made from anything in the right hands. But this is a dishonest, quease-inducing comedy that had me feeling uneasy and then unclean. But here's the thing, I think he was dead wrong. He couldn't see past the film's edgy premise, dismissing it as a nasty piece of business, while completely missing the surprisingly sweet, funny, and heartfelt coming-of-age story that's resonated with audiences for years. Since 2004, The Girl Next Door's quietly built this incredible cult following. People initially discovered it on DVD and nowadays streaming, passing it around like a secret. There's Reddit threads that pop up constantly with people calling it the most underrated sex comedy of all time. And you know what? I think they might be right. And really, I think the genius of this movie starts with its structure. Yeah, sure, it's basically risky business for the early 2000s, but director Luke Greenfield took that template and made it something special. Matthew Kidman, played by Emile Hirsch, isn't really your typical teen movie protagonist. He's this genuinely good kid who's been playing it safe his entire life. And now we absolutely must talk about Elisha Cuthbert because holy shit, her performance in this is sublime. Honestly, I think it's a little crazy to think that she never ever became a Jennifer Lawrence level star. In this movie, she makes the case for the sexiest anyone has ever looked on film. I mean, you wouldn't have to pull my arm hard to come to that conclusion. And here's something I think that's kind of bizarre about her character, Danielle. She's genuine, lovely, and kind. But when rewatching this flick after many years, I realized she has almost zero character development. It doesn't really matter though, because it's impossible to take your eyes off her. She has almost this comforting feeling while watching this movie. And the supporting cast is absolutely stacked. Paul Dano as Klitz is perfectly awkward. It was before he was like this acting guru. Chris Marquette as Eli steals every single scene he's in with this manic batshit energy.
Shut the fuck up! Next question, faster!
And then we have Timothy Olyphant as Kelly, the sleazy producer who is absolutely magnetic in this movie. He's menacing and charming, delivering the film's most iconic line.
Let me tell you the first rule of politics. Always know if the juice is worth the squeeze.
So how well has this thing aged? Pretty damn well, actually. The core story about falling in love and doing stupid shit for it is timeless, and the themes still resonate. So what feels dated? Well, some of the porn industry stuff feels a bit naive, but the movie handles it better than most. If I were to rank it today, I think I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's a genuinely feel-good, weird, funny movie that every person about to graduate high school should absolutely watch. I truly had a great time going back and watching this and couldn't shake the warm feeling it left me with long after the movie ended. Alright, time for some wild behind-the-scenes stuff that'll make you appreciate this movie just a little bit more. First off, Emile Hirsch was still a minor during production, so his nude scenes were done by a stunt double. And remember that drawing of herself that Danielle gives Matthew? Well, that was actually drawn by Elisha Cuthbert herself. And this is random, but the character of Eli was apparently based on horror director Eli Roth. Also, check this out. If she looks a little familiar, but you can't quite place it, let me help you out. That's Stormy Daniels from, well, you know, I suppose it's life imitating art. So this movie also has two different endings. The one most people saw, the theatrical ending and the unrated version, is the sweet, happy one. Matthew gets the girl, Danielle, and they head off to Georgetown together, fulfilling his lifelong dream. It's a nice, tidied bow on the story, but there's also an alternate ending, which you can see in the deleted scenes, that I think's way more interesting and honestly more fitting for the chaos of the movie. In this version, we don't see Matthew at college. Instead, the final shot is him standing on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., wearing a slick suit and smoking a cigar. The idea here is that he took the ultimate lesson from his experience, that the juice is worth the squeeze, and used it to dive headfirst into the world of politics. It suggests he fully embraced his newfound manipulative and ambitious side. It's a darker, more cynical ending, but it shows a complete character transformation. And I gotta be honest, I kinda love it for that. Going back and watching this movie now, I almost felt transported. I graduated high school in 2003, so I was definitely the target audience, and it truly is like going back to a better time. It captures that pre-smartphone era just perfectly. It has that effect of transporting me to another time and leaves me with the feeling that movies today just really aren't capable of replicating. It's also pretty fascinating to see where the cast ended up. Paul Dano's now an A-list actor who played the Riddler in The Batman. Chris Marquette, who steals every damn scene in this movie, mostly pops up in only supporting roles. And Timothy Olyphant used this role to show his range, leading to his iconic parts in Deadwood and Justified. By the way, I'm thinking of doing a watch-along of Deadwood on my live stream. Let me know if you're interested. Anyway, let's talk about the most ridiculous scene in this movie from a real-world perspective. It always bothers me, but it's essential to the movie's plot.
Your teacher came by yesterday and he cleared out the account.
Who? What teacher?
Your student advisor, Mr. Salinger?
That whole scenario is completely wrong. Kelly would be looking at fraud charges, and Jeannie would be fired for gross negligence. Matthew didn't actually commit a crime and could even claim he was under duress. Basically, Kelly and Jeannie would be in huge trouble, while Matthew would most likely just get a slap on the wrist. It's a ridiculous scene, but hey, it makes for good tension and is essential for the rest of the movie to play out the way it does. And that right there is the kind of beauty of The Girl Next Door. It's not trying to be a documentary. It knows when to bend reality for the sake of a great story or a tense moment. It's a movie that prioritizes fun and emotion over strict logic, and honestly, that's why I think it works so well. It's part of that early 2000s teen movie DNA where you just had to go along for the ride, and the ride was always worth it. I think that's why it left me with such a warm feeling long after it ended. It's not trying to be perfect, it's trying to be memorable. It's funny, touching, cringeworthy in all the right ways, and a movie I hadn't seen in a while but will definitely be revisiting more often. It successfully bottles that chaotic, wonderful, terrifying feeling of being on the edge of the rest of your life. There you have it. The Girl Next Door is a genuinely sweet, funny, and surprisingly thoughtful movie that absolutely deserves way more love. But I want to know what you think. Which ending do you prefer? College boy Matt who gets the girl, or political shark Matt who takes over Washington? Let me know down in the comments. Also, is this the sexiest anyone has ever looked in a movie?
I know what you're asking yourself, and the answer is yes.
And hey, if you had fun taking this trip down memory lane, make sure you check in every week because I'm going back to review one old movie just like this one. And it isn't random either. I run a poll on my community tab each week to let you guys decide which movie gets the deep dive treatment. The Girl Next Door won last week's poll, so your vote actually matters here. Now, quick plug, if you're trying to figure out what to watch at the theater this weekend and you're on the fence about dropping 20 bucks on a ticket, and honestly, I don't blame you if you are, head over to the short section of my channel. I do quick, no bullshit reviews of all the latest movies to help you decide if they're worth your time or not. And one last thing, if you're a fan of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, you're going to want to check out my latest video where I rank every single season from worst to best. Just a 5-star man trying to do my best. So give this video a like and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. As always, the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone, but what do I know? I'm but a mere jackass. I'll try to do better next time. Catch you later, friends.
I'm just a jackass of all trades, don't know shit. Keep on talking, acting like I'm so legit. From politics to sports, I'll spout